The death toll from Typhoon Mangkhut has increased to more than 60 people.
10,000 or more
hit the northern Philippines Saturday.
Typhoon Yolanda
The
crashed
earthquake
into the
triggered a
Philippines.
powerful tsunami.
The wind
More than
along with storm
1,500 people are believed to have been killed in massive floods.
The Indo-Asia-Pacific region has been ravaged by natural disasters for as far back as recorded history can take us. The nations surrounding the area, known globally as the Ring of Fire, are constantly at risk for earthquakes, typhoons, and tsunamis. Many of these nations are also among the world's fastest growing and highest in population density. This means that more and more people are in danger with each passing year. In 2003, U.S. Indo-Pacific Command formed the Multinational Communications Interoperability Program in an effort to improve coordination among our Pacific partners. More than 20 nations work together in this program to foster relationships that will help improve our response to disasters. The 16th annual Pacific Endeavor exercise was hosted by Nepal in 2018 in the capital city of Kathmandu.
Pacific Endeavor is a program that brings multiple nations, militaries, other organizations like the UN, NGOs together to work on communications problems and interoperability during a HADR response within the Pacific region.
Nepal is a disaster-prone country, so we have a record of having mega-scale disaster, especially earthquake, in every around 70 to 90 years. So we are participating in MSIP since 2006. This is very practical exercise we are holding. So we have learned a lot how to respond when there is a mega-scale disaster.
What I find in disaster response or any response to a chaotic situation is the quicker you can establish communications, the quicker you can get a picture of what's going on in the area, the information will feed better decisions. And the faster we can get information, the faster we can make good decisions. And the hope is that we're building the capabilities and capacities to initially save lives and then rebuild over the long term.
Throughout the 2-week exercise, there are a variety of training modules. One such module seeks to educate the participants on the importance of network security during an HADR event. It's called Cyber Endeavor.
For the Cyber Endeavor, we're doing a simulation. We try to send some threat or some malicious activity, and we try to protect the network from that threat and malicious activity.
When such a disaster takes place, typically there are so many resources that are assigned to a specific area or a specific expertise that our cybersecurity protections tend to decrease, and that really opens up vulnerabilities, opens up the ability for exploitation.
Another critical training module is Phoenix Endeavor. During this module, participants are educated on the principles of radio frequencies and operation, antenna propagation, and spectrum management.
Multinational forces will be coming up to area where the crisis may happen. At that time, to allocate the right frequencies and working without the interference, that is the main objective of this radio and Phoenix Endeavor itself.
If we don't properly manage frequencies correctly, when different nations come to support, they just bring whatever equipment they want to bring and start talking, and that can cause a lot of interference.
In addition to the training modules, a field training exercise is conducted to test the nation's interoperability.
They will be deploying to a disaster command post, and in the scenario, that's where where the disaster areas are simulated, and they'll be doing their RFAs back to the MNCC. What they're figuring out right now is how to send data through their radio to a distant radio and to be de-encrypted back into a readable format.
These operations aren't limited to militaries. They also have help from non-governmental organizations like the UN World Food Program.
The World Food Programme is the food assistance branch of the United Nations. After an emergency, one of the first things we have to set up just to work for ourselves internally are these emergency telecommunication services. They set up so they provide the services for ourselves just so that we can provide food to the local community. And then obviously as the other humanitarian actors come in, we give them the same services.
The FTX is facilitated by a group called the White Cell. The White Cell creates scenarios which participants attempt to navigate during their simulated HADR event.
We take what we call scenario injects. We build the injects to send out to the players. We try to make it as realistic as possible. So we will send information to the players to have them have to respond like they would in a real world environment and make it as realistic as we can.
While the FTX is taking place, senior representatives from the partner nation militaries arrive to participate in the Pacific Senior Communicators Meeting.
We bring these folks together 3 or 4 times a year in order to get to know them. All interoperability starts with personal relationships and information sharing, and then we document solutions. We look at future technology and capability, and we make decisions as a senior communications body of where we want to go in the future and how we can be better prepared and how we can respond quicker to HADR situations.
Regional Forum, Asia Pacific region.
The time of the disaster is not the time to be introducing yourselves and working out procedures. Building these relationships and partner capacity during these events is key in expedient recovery during times of disaster.
By the end of the 2 weeks, procedures were put into practice and many lessons were learned to ensure an efficient and effective multinational HADR response. An equally important takeaway for the participants was the friendships they made and the relationships they fostered.
Really important to be able to meet new friends in these kinds of exercises and understand how they think so that we will be able to collaborate well.
It's just been great meeting all of the multinational forces. So next time I come, I'm going to know people I can say, hey, how's it going?
If anything happens, we would be able to just make one phone call and get the assistance from this community. So the key lessons learned is to have good friends in need of crisis.
Because of this program, we renew friendship and we can talk freely. It is easier to communicate with other nations because of this program.
Very important for us, our relationship with the other country, because we don't know each other, but we here, we know each other here and being friends.
The efforts of MSIP and their partners will continue in 2019, when Pacific Endeavour will be hosted by Papua New Guinea.
Papua New Guinea is a very small island nation in the Pacific. For us, it's important to conduct this Pacific Endeavour in our country. Purposely for us as PNG, we want to test and update all the communication platforms and systems that we develop for our response to HADR. And it's a good opportunity that small nation is trying to test our capabilities within the region through a multinational communication technology program.